Then another product. It's not easy to control the slides. Okay, another similar product is DataGuard, of course. And DataGuard is perfect if you want to create a complete standby of your database within the same conditions, like it's the same version of database, it's the same environment where it's running on, and then DataGuard is perfect. And with version 11 of Oracle, we even offer the option Oracle Active DataGuard, which keeps the standby open for reading, so you can use the standby to query data. So, for example, for query offloading with Active DataGuard, which is perfect. But if you have anything different between source and target, so if you have any kind of heterogeneity, which could even start with the hardware going from little endian to big endian, or going from one version of operating system or database to another, then you cannot use DataGuard, you must use goldengate. Or if you need just a subset of the data, not a complete standby, then use goldengate. If you need transformations, use goldengate. Or if you want to set up even an active-active replication, not just a one-way primary to standby, then active-active can only be done by goldengate. So that's a simple differentiation between goldengate and DataGuard. So that was about the product. I can show you now a case study from a customer if we have not any other question to the technology.
We do have another question from the floor, Carsten. Question is, what happens in the case of triggers what happens in the case of triggers logging to audit tables? Do the triggers need to be disabled in the target?
Correct. Yeah, it's useful to disable them on the target because everything that the trigger causes in the database is captured, of course, from the source already. And in order to avoid a duplicate issue of these changes, the trigger on the target should be disabled. If it is captured. If the trigger does something on tables which we don't capture or outside the database, then leave it on. So you must inspect your triggers, what they are doing, and decide then if you want to disable them.
Thank you. There's no other questions at this time, so.
Okay. So I continue then with one of our largest customers, which is Research in Motion, which manufactures these Blackberry devices you may have seen. And the way it manufactures this is like global organizations work today. So Research in Motion has factories around the globe. We see some red dots here, which are current factories manufacturing different pieces. For example, one of these factories creates the LCD displays, another one creates the electronics, another one creates the plastic shells where the electronic must fit into, etc. Then we see the yellow dots, which are planned factories. They are currently in construction and will help them in the future. And we see the green dots, which are the marketing and design centers, which are separated from the manufacturing process. But the design centers, they dictate how the device should look like, and then the other factories must, of course, produce the electronics in that way that they fit into the design shell. And this could also mean we see on the market, for example, some user trends. So sometimes users want to get more touchscreen devices, and sometimes they like more keyboard-enabled devices. So sometimes the factories have to react quickly on change in demand from the users. So what Research in Motion wanted to achieve is, first, they have all these factories around the globe, and they have several data centers to serve them, and they needed they to be available, up and running all the time, because there's no night anymore. There's no batch window for night jobs. When you work around the globe, everybody is working at some time. And everything also, because of this distributed manufacturing process, everybody needs to have access to the other systems at any time. So they want to move the info around the globe and also then share this with, of course, the marketing centers, the design centers, to see how the acceptance of the devices by the users and to incorporate new trends there and new changes in what should be manufactured. So what they require technically is, or what they have implemented with goldengate, they use 5 data hubs at very different locations around the globe. And in addition, they wanted to offload their reporting queries from the production servers and moving to separated reporting servers. Then the business was growing, so they had to produce more devices, and they detected that their current database servers were not sufficient anymore, so they had to upgrade them from a single node to a 2-node rack using ASM, and they had to do this at every of those 5 data hubs. And finally, they bought a new Exadata for reporting, and now they are distributing all the reporting data from all 5 locations to a central location for the Exadata, where they can then run extensive reportings and analysis of all the data on the fastest machine for that, the Exadata. So what they had to implement, if we look at their structure, we find 5 different data centers at Americas, Europe, Asia, Africa, everywhere, which are synchronized using goldengate, every data center to the other data centers. So everything is synchronized with each other, and which means you have the highest mean of high availability. They can each data center is synchronized with the other data. It knows what is going on at the other centers, and if anything happens, it can take over the work of the other location. Then the next step was to reduce the load on the production servers, and by offloading all the queries to a separate box, which they did with goldengate. They added separate boxes at each location for querying all the report data. Next step was then to upgrade the existing hardware, because the business was growing and they had more traffic and they needed more power there. So they upgraded their single node database server to a 2-node rack, and they wanted to do this, of course, without disrupting the business. So they migrated their system to the new hardware with 0 downtime using goldengate. And finally, they bought an Exadata and get now all the reporting data in real time from all locations to this central Exadata, where they can then combine the data and get a lot of insight into their business data with real-time information, with real-time reports, etc. Everything powered by goldengate. What was the advantage of implementing this structure? Well, first, from the technical department, they were able to provide 24-hour uptime every day in the year by using standbys, live standbys with goldengate, by synchronizing to the other locations. So everything will be up and running at any time. They also were able to provide real-time feeds from different sources into their reporting system, etc. They could offload the queries from the production servers, because the separate boxes are synchronized in real